Good morning, race fans. Yeah, it's Thursday. I took a little while to make this video because, frankly, I didn't want my positivity from Carson Hocevar's win to impact my grading of the race because I thought it was there was so much enthusiasm with Carson's win. What can I say? I'm from Michigan. I like the fact that we have a Michigan winner. Carson Hocevar is one of the 20 drivers that I like. So I just didn't want to kind of impact my grading of the because I think a first time win and there was so much enthusiasm. He was so excited, and you could just see pure happiness and joy and like somebody like achieving their life's goal, and realizing that it was everything that he imagined it would be. I mean, what an epic burnout. And then riding on the door of the car, waving at the fans, coming back. I mean, just absolutely epic. That'll be remembered by NASCAR for years. That's going to be probably in every Talledega opening, bumper or whatever you want to call it. You're going to see that in every video, I think, from Talledega from now on. So pretty epic, pretty amazing. Congratulations to Carson Hocevar, fellow Michigan boy. I grew up in Grand Rapids. He was from, I guess he's from Portage, which is like basically like Kalamazoo, a little bit south of Grand Rapids. So kind of cool to see somebody like I've been to the Berlin Raceway. I don't know. I think it's super cool to have somebody from your home state win. And what can I say? Congratulations, Carson Hocevar, on both an awesome win, good strategy, and an epic celebration. So let's get into it and let's dig a little deeper. So I'm barely set up today. Let's see if I've got anything here that I can. All right, this is what I wanted. So obviously Carson Hocevar won. Chris Buescher was in the other lane. Um, Basically, you had the two lanes just going for like the last 40 laps. So it was like, oh, it's Chris Buescher. Oh, it's Carson Hocevar. Oh, it's Chris Buescher. Oh, it's Carson Hocevar. But I want to say, I think the big thank you needs to go out to Alex Bowman and Zane Smith and that whole line, and also Ricky Stenhouse. Because when Hocevar was in the line getting pushed by Ricky Stenhouse, Stenhouse was doing a good job. Then Hocevar was in the lower line getting pushed by Bowman and Zane Smith, and did a great job. I mean, this was just such a cool way to win. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the like I like drafting racetracks. I like the, air movement. I like the, you having to get a couple guys together and get a run. And I think this is kind of universal. Everybody doesn't like the fact that there is so much drag on the car per drivers like Denny Hamlin or Briscoe or whoever you're hearing. There's so much drag on the car that if you lose the draft or do anything, you can't make up time, you can't make up space, you can't really get a run on somebody. So it's there's something that needs to be done to improve super speedway racing. I think part of that may be, taking away some of the downforce, taking away maybe an inch or two off the spoiler, making it so the cars are a little looser. Maybe that also requires them dialing back the horsepower, because back in the day, and I think I saw, ooh, was it Dale Jr. or Denny Hamlin? I think it was Denny talking on his podcast Actions Detrimental, saying that they would run 200 but with less horsepower back in the day. So maybe that's the balance. We reduce the drag but also pull back the horsepower a little bit so that it's a little more tenable. But what we want is we want better passing. We still want you to have to get up, if you get a pack together, you get a draft going, we want that to work, but we don't want so much drag that you can never make up any territory. So it's a tough balance, and I think they're going to work on fixing the super speedway package. Now, I've seen some people argue that they didn't like the first stage because there was too much fuel savings. And I agree, there was too much fuel saving. But at the same time, it introduced a lot of different pit strategies. So when we get to my scoring, you'll see I I added a lot for the pit strategy. I thought, I think I gave it a full point. I think I gave it an 8 for strategy because that was interesting. We had, okay, these guys are fuel saving. They're going to try to make it one stop. These group of cars here, they're running faster. You had that whole group of Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe up front running faster, trying to pull the field along. They were doing a two-stop strategy. So I don't know. I thought that was really cool to see the different strategies. I think the part that a lot of fans aren't keen on is when it's three wide and it just looks like the 405 at rush hour, just at a much higher speed. So what can I say? I think the strategy aspect was super cool. I like the more nerdy aspect of the strategy. But I also understand we want better passing. We need more movement from the cars, especially if you got just a pack of two or three cars. You need them to be able to do something while, instead of just no, we have to have 8 or 10 cars together to have a line to be able to do anything. So we'll see. And then the other thing I think we need to work on in the super speedway packages is probably making sure that there's a nice flat spot at the front of the car and a flat spot in the rear of the car. So when they start trying to push each other, you're not trying to push like a circle against a circle and get, kind of wonky. So we'll get into the big one at one point. But what can I say? I thought it was a really cool race. I was super excited to see Alex Bowman running up front, running, basically P3, I guess, um, in the lower line. And yeah, he didn't win, but with the way the passing was, I mean, it was just whoever was in the front of those two lines, it was going to be Chris Buescher or Carson Hocevar, unless something dramatic happened in that last, lap and a half, who are probably going to win this race. And I think what a lot of people didn't like was that it was just two lanes of traffic for 40 laps, just kind of, you know, going back and forth between who was leading. But it was, I don't know. I did enjoy the race, but I want to say that scoring it, it's gonna basically come out just barely above average for the Cup race. But the O'Reilly race, I scored that much higher. So, but let's keep going down the list here because I just like to see Alex Bowman finish third. Chase Elliott got some good points on the day, but we kind of expect that out of Chase Elliott. Same thing with Buescher. We kind of expect pretty good performances out of him. Zane Smith in the top 5 finish, awesome for him. Ricky Stenhouse top 6 finish, great for him. Ross Chastain, he was involved in the big one, not intentionally, but he was definitely involved, and he got a 7th place finish. Austin Cindric 7th, and Noah Gragson 9th, and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch gets his first top 10 of the season, gets the first top 10 for RCR of the season, and then also they fired his crew chief. So it's just kind of a wild weekend for RCR, but overall, I think Kyle Busch getting a 10th place finish is pretty good for Kyle right now. I just don't think RCR has the speed in order to compete, but it's good to see him get a top 10. Todd Gilliland 11th, Daniel Suarez 12th, and then Ty Dillon and Tyler Reddick 13th and 14th, Denny Hamlin 15th, and then AJ Allmendinger got his number 16. Christopher Bell 17. That's pretty rough because he was doing better than that. And then Ryan Preece 18th. Again, I thought he was doing better than that. He won the second stage. I just think unfortunately he and Austin Dillon and SVG got caught up in a wreck right as they were approaching the finish line. Ended up causing them to finish 18th, 19th, and 20th right there. So what can I say? Overall, the big wreck was wild. And it basically started because you had Bubba in the middle lane, but you had what? Chastain, followed by Blaney, followed by I think Logano, and you just had that accordion effect. And I don't blame Bubba Wallace for this at all. He just got hit a little off center with a ton of momentum and power behind him. And it's exactly like what happened to Hocevar at the Daytona 500, where he just got hit just a little bit off center and it caused him to wiggle and spin out. So, yeah, 26 cars involved. A ton of them ended up going off the track and just not being able to finish. But then if you go to the in car of Carson Hocevar, who was sitting at the end, kind of playing it safe, he skated through along the top without hitting anybody. I think he said he got a flat tire as he was going through there, but overall he went through pretty much unscathed. So, it's super speedway racing. You got to kind of factor in the little bit of chaos and expect a big one to happen because they are so tight together. But I'm wondering if, maybe with the pushing, like maybe you aren't, shouldn't be physically touching the car in front of you, using more of the air. Now, I've heard some people talk about how that air bubble is kind of gone with the way that the new cars are. So you aren't getting that air push, you're actually getting a bumper to bumper push. And so maybe they need to figure out a way to kind of get that air cushion, the way the air moves between the vehicles back to the way it was before. So you kind of get that, what did I hear them say? Basically, as you're coming up on a car, there's like you're gonna get a little bit of pushback because of the air, so you wouldn't come in and just smack their bumper. But now you can kind of just like once you're close enough, you're just gonna come in and smack their bumper and actually hit them. So definitely something that I think they need to work on. But I think the easiest thing for NASCAR to do is reduce the spoiler, maybe dial back the horsepower a little bit. Because I think their main concern with the horsepower is getting up over 200 miles an hour and things getting squirrely and then having bigger accidents. So, bigger wrecks, more of these 26 car pileups. But I think at a track like Talledega, because it's a drafting track, you're more prone to these bigger pileups because of the way people are tight together, pushing each other, trying to get the runs. And if you reduce the drag a little bit, I think that'll help. I think that'll help. But hey, I mean, put it in the simulator, figure it out. Like get some physics geeks working on it and work it out. But I do think that everybody wants the super speedways to be a little bit more exciting, a little bit better passing, a little bit better overall race quality. And if we can avoid having a big one with 26 cars involved, I think that would also be good. So what can I say? But let us get into. I am so not prepared today, guys. I am just winging this completely. So let's see. Honored and remembered. That's nice. Can we highlights? So lap one, but where do we go? Lap three, four. Was this the big one? Here we are. So as you see, you got Chastain, Blaney, and he just got there was just a row behind him and it just wrecked him out. And I don't want to say that there was anything Bubba Wallace did specifically here. I think it was just, there was just enough momentum behind him and it hit him off center that it caused him to go squirrely. And it just wasn't an ideal situation, but it was kind of wild seeing those four cars just kind of go away and not get involved. And then you see from Hocevar's in-car camera, you see everything happen there. But here, yeah, you got Bubba coming up. I don't think that was a block, as people are trying to say, but as you can see, the accordion effect that happened because of Logano, Blaney, and Chastain behind him, and then they were four wide. And it's just because of the style of racing, they're so packed together, you're gonna get these big wrecks that take out the whole field. So I think if you get a little less downforce, you'll open up the field a little bit. You'll let them spread out a little bit more, get bigger runs, things like that. But hey, I'm not a NASCAR professional. Run it through I'm sure they have simulators that can run all this kind of thing. So let's see what we can do. But all right, here we are, and we've seen the pushing, and this is just epic because yes, it's just two rows. We're not getting a ton of passing, but you can see how getting pushed and having the row of momentum behind you because Chase Elliott was not on Stenhouse's bumper, but as soon as Dillon and Zane Smith got to Bowman's bumper, you saw Hocevar's lane move forward. And that was what allowed Hocevar to make that final push to win. And again, congratulations. Uh, it's been long coming because, he's been running up toward the front so much and then had engine blow or a tire blow or just some physical failure that was not his fault happened that prevented him. Like, when he was at the Coke 600 when he was running second or third, and then his engine blew, and he was just looking so strong and so fast that day. Everybody was commenting like they thought he was going to win that day, and then boom, engine blows up. What do you do? And then here's that accident with Priest and Dylan and SVG. So what can I say? Awesome, awesome stuff. But let us get into, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get into the scoring. So for O'Reilly, I scored the O'Reilly's race basically like I scored Daytona for O'Reilly earlier this year. I gave it a 9 in enjoyment. I thought that was an amazing race. Corey Day, congratulations on your first win. Just a great race overall. Racing quality, I gave an 8. Racing strategy, I gave an 8. Tire 7 wasn't really a factor. And then passing, I thought was good. But when we get to Cup, I thought the passing was crap. I gave it a 6.5. Tire, again, not an issue. Strategy, I gave an 8 because in that first longer stage, they had, you had varying strategies. You saw this group of cars doing the one stop strategy. You saw this group of cars doing the two stop strategy. Now, again, the fuel savings was kind of drives everybody nuts but if you look at what happened, fuel saving by Hocevar early in the race allowed him to have a fast pit stop in the final stage to move up to the front. And so, I hate to say it, but the fuel saving strategy was what allowed Carson to win. So, but overall, I scored this a 72 for Talledega, below Daytona. I almost gave this an 8 for enjoyment because, again, I like Hocevar. I get excited for his first win. And that's why I wanted to wait a few days to make sure that I didn't overvalue the enjoyment side of it because of the amazing burnout, the amazing celebration. And what can I say? I'll say it again. Congratulations, Hocevar. But I also, look at Bristol. I gave an 8. And that was Ty Gibbs' first win. And I was super excited for that one as well. So I'm really enjoying I'm really enjoying these younger drivers coming in and kind of staking their claim, saying, "Hey, we're here, we're real drivers, we're winning races, and now you gotta, factor us into it because Ty Gibbs has been running amazing all year. Hocevar has been running really well, except for when his car isn't right or something weird happens. But for the most part, he's been having good finishes. So I feel like a lot of this was sort of expected. And what can I say? I am excited for this weekend, but I guess I'm always excited for NASCAR. But we also have the Indy 500 coming up, so it's going to be an epic weekend of racing. But let us jump back to standings because this is going to be pretty cool. And then let's see. I wanted to pull up the Winston Cup standings, but it's basically the same 10 drivers we have here, but just slightly different order. And so, I would just have to get into X and pull it up, but I don't have it pulled up right now. So what can I say? Maybe I can pause this and go find it, but I think it would be good to show the side by side. So yeah, let me go find it. All right, folks, we're back. And so yeah, so this is the points as if the Winston Cup system was still in working or in play. Still have Tyler Reddick up front, then Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Carson Hocevar at 8, Kyle Larson at 9, and Christopher Bell at 10. And then here we got Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs. So Ty Gibbs at 5th instead of 4th. Chase Elliott at 3 instead of 4. Blaney at 6 instead of 3rd. Brad Keselowski at 7 instead of 10. Carson Hocevar at 8. Carson Hocevar at 8. So that's the first and the 8th line up. And then We got Christopher Bell at 9. Here we got Christopher Bell at 10. And then Brad Keselowski at 10. But we got Christopher Bell at 10 and Kyle Larson at 9 here. So it's the same people, but just slightly different. And I think that, again, it goes to show you that the new system is very much merit based, just a slightly different calculation. The fact that we have the same top 10 here, I think, is huge because it really does show that this is a season long system, just a slightly different calculation. So you're going to fall into it a little differently. But how cool is that? Plus, they got the classic music. And I know this is so this is just, I would wake up hearing this music or fall asleep on the sofa hearing this music. So this is just nostalgia for me, man. What can I say? But overall, I like what I'm seeing. You know, Byron fell 4 spots, Bubba fell 4 spots, Ryan Priest stayed tight there. Daniel Suarez up 2, Joey Logano down 1, Austin Cindric up 1. Briscoe sitting just outside the chase right now. Chastain just outside the chase, but he moved up 2 spots. SVG down 1 spot, and I like to see Zane Smith. But the things that are surprising, Michael McDowell. I thought he would have been much closer, but I think he just kind of had a rough finish. Not really his fault. And then Kyle Busch should be doing better because he's freaking Kyle Busch. And who else? Connor Zilic, I feel like should be doing better. But I think that's more on Trackhouse just not having any speed this year. And then Alex Bowman, I'm not going to put any expectations on Alex Bowman as far as standings this year because when you have to take 4 weeks out for your health, I'm not gonna give him any crap for not having a good points when he had to take 4 races off. So I'm a Bowman fan. I think he's a great driver. I don't think his job is going anywhere. I know he's in a contract year, but Ally, his chief sponsor, loves Alex. Um, I don't see a reason for him to lose his seat. He just got third place at Talledega, so that's great. But I do expect Alex Bowman to have to do better and better and better for the rest of the season. He's gonna have to kind of prove himself, but I don't think he's in the hot seat, if that makes sense. And then I think also Alex Bowman sticking around for probably another year in that job in the 48 car, because I think once Bowman either moves on, retires, or whatever, I think they're going to bring Corey Day in for this seat. I think that's why they'll give Alex Bowman probably a 1 year extension. I'm speculating. This is purely speculation. I think they'll give Bowman a 1 year extension, have Corey Day do another year in O'Reilly, and then they might bring Corey Day in basically what for 2028. But maybe they do a 2 year extension and bring Corey Day in for 2029. But that's kind of what I think is going to happen with the 48 car, unless for some reason Kyle Larson decides not to come back. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, but I do think that is the long term plan for the 48 car is to drop Corey Day in there because, as I've said many times when watching the O'Reilly series, Corey Day is an amazing driver. And I think he was getting some sloppiness and some incidents with other drivers because, as I mentioned, he didn't quite know where the corners of his car were yet. Anytime you get a new car, you're always a little like, where is that front corner? Where is that back corner? Until it becomes sort of unconscious, until you've driven the car enough and have a feel for where all the corner, where it is. And it becomes an extension of you. And I think he was just in that kind of learning phase because look at this. This is the current standings for the O'Reilly series. Justin Allgaier out front. He's killing it, having a great season. I'm a big fan of Allgaier. I think he's a great driver. Sheldon Creed, congratulations. He got his first win, but he's getting so many second places. He should be he should change his number with Jesse Love. Like he should really say, "Hey Jesse, I want the number 2 because I seem to always get second place." But what can I say? I don't think they're gonna do it. But and then so you got Jesse Love here. He was looking so good at Talladega. until I think just circumstances and just kind of shuffled him back a little bit. And then Corey Day got his first win at Talledega, and he is sitting 145 points behind first. But whatever happens, he's in the chase right now, and it's looking good for Corey Day because I expect him to win probably maybe one or two more races this year unless he goes on a tear. But I would expect because he's just a darn good driver, and you can see it in the moves he's making and the fact that he's gotten so much car control in such a short period of time. Um, kind of similar to frankly, Cletus, because in at Talladega this weekend, Cletus got second. He probably should have gotten first if he had a little bit more experience, but he I think Gus Gus Deere, I think that's his name. Gus Dean, that's his name. Gus Dean got into his left rear quarter panel as they were coming into the final stretch, and so Cletus was coming down on him basically to prevent himself from spinning out, which allowed the winner to kind of come around the side and go for it because he had a clear path. So, but overall, I think even a P2 for Cletus was good. But the thing about it, and why I brought it up, is he's in his sixth ARCA race and he was vying for a win, legitimately had a chance to win it. And what everybody I've seen commenting on YouTube is saying is that he looked like he belonged. He looked like he knew what he was doing. He was not just that, oh, he's a YouTuber. No, he's a race car driver now. And he picks up things very quickly. And what I think everybody saw in that ARCA race was like, wow, this guy has a legitimate chance to win this. And the way he's doing it, the moves he's making are race car moves. They are race car driver moves. They are not some YouTuber doing YouTuber stuff. It was you know I think Cletus has officially caught the stock car racing bug. He was talking about doing a full year of ARCA, so I think that's 20 races. Um, he just needs to find some sponsors to do it, and I think people would line up to sponsor for Cletus to do that because he gets eyeballs. That's it's good business. He gets eyeballs. I think he said he sold almost 20,000 bottles of Mr. Sam's spray wax. I mean, that's a lot of bottles of spray wax. So, what can I say? Let's keep going here. But yeah, I like Sammy Smith a lot. I want him to win. I like Carson Kvapil a lot. I want him to win. I like Austin Hill on speedways. The other drivers don't like Austin Hill on speedways because he wins them so frequently. But I think what we're seeing this year is that the JRM cars, the Hendrick Motorsports engines, have caught up to the RCR engines. And now we're getting kind of parity between Junior Motorsports and RCR in O'Reilly series as far as speed on the super speedways. We're not seeing Austin Hill and Jesse Love run away with it anymore because now it looks like the other Chevys have kind of gotten the speed that RCR had. So what can I say? O'Reilly's is maybe we should be calling the O'Reilly series like NASCAR Classic, and um, the Cup Series is like new NASCAR because you know the O'Reilly series is still carbureted. It's basically a little bit more a throwback to the older style. Um, it's the cars are built closer to what the older cars were built to. So, but what do I know? I'm not on the committee. So Taylor Gray got ninth. Parker Retzloff got 10th. Sorry, not ninth. These are where they're standing in the overall chase. Raja Caruth, awesome. He's sitting at 12th. Ryan Sieg, Sam Mayer, Brent Cruz. This kid's gonna race Cup one day. I pretty much guarantee it because he is running toward the front every weekend, and he just turned 18, which only allowed him to start doing the bigger tracks as soon as he hit 18. So he hasn't even run the full season, and he's sitting 15th in standing. So I think Brent Cruz, give him a couple more years in O'Reilly, and then you're going to see him in a Cup car. So but what do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. But Anthony Alfredo, yeah, overall, uh, do they even have Cletus up here? Yeah, they got Cletus. All right, he's got 5 points. So, uh, what can I say? I'm having fun. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, and yeah, this one's been a little chaotic. I didn't really plan anything out. I just kind of turned on the camera and went, "Hey, let's talk about NASCAR." So please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll do better next week.